Hey everyone, this is Robert, and thank you for tuning in to Station Square. And yeah, hope everybody's doing well out there, and we're just back on track and still kicking it strong on Station Square. Today I've got a very special guest based in London, if I'm not mistaken. They've been working with some of the biggest brands like BBC, Spotify, Nike, PlayStation, Atlantic, and so many others that I could mention here, but it's probably going to take up like another hour or so. But ladies and gentlemen, Joe Troy, or Joe?
Yes. You can
Yeah,
call
so
me
we got
Joe.
Joe
Yeah.
on the podcast. Yeah. Thank
Hello.
you very much for joining me today. How are you doing, my good sir?
I'm good. I'm good. It's 8 p.m. in London right now, so it's the end of the day for me. So I'm just chilling
All
out. It's
right.
been a busy day. So yeah, all good.
Oh, totally. Yeah, my day is it's 12 o'clock where I am, so my day's just getting started. And it's already been pretty productive, so I just want to keep the ball rolling. So, yeah, thank you for being here and tell us a little bit I mean, I know a little bit about you, but for those that don't know, tell us a little about yourself and because you're a voiceover artist, a musician, and you wear many different hats, so um I guess we could just discuss like what have you been up to these days and you know all that good stuff and what have you been doing and what's been keeping you busy, during these times as of this month, May
This
2020.
month actually has been really, really busy. It's probably been the busiest month of the year. Literally, well, let's start from the top. I'm a voiceover. That's my 9 to 5 kind of thing. And I'm an author. I'm podcast. I do music. I produce as well. So yeah, anything in the audio space, I kind of, work in. Love audio. Yeah, this month we had our annual voiceover award show, which I was lucky enough to get a award for my podcast, which was cool. And then as of that, I've been working on some productions, for some upcoming audio dramas. And literally like a few days ago, I was doing Voice of God for so we have it's the biggest podcast show in Europe, I believe. And I was doing Voice of God for that, for the Amazon music, which was cool. So yeah, it's been a busy month. And I just, every day I just have to pinch myself to know that this is real kind of thing. So I'm just not taking it for granted. And I guess that's what keeps me working so hard because I don't want it to stop kind of thing.
Yeah, was this always something that you wanted to do, like
Um,
just pretty much everything that you're doing in your
do you know
career?
what's funny? I've always made music since I was young, and just as a hobby. I've been lucky enough to do it professionally for a bit, and then I didn't for a bit. So, but once I got into voiceover, I think that's where the the floodgates just opened, and you know, um, I was given an opportunity to actually pursue voiceover because I've always wanted to do it, but I guess the switch wasn't flicked yet and it wasn't that time to go. So I finally decided to do it. And then, once I got through the door and I started to make it and my 9 to 5, my full-time job, other opportunities came my way. And as a creative, who made music before, it's just in me to make things. So that's why I done the podcasting. That's why I want to do producing and just everything. And not to repeat myself again, but yeah, I just have to keep busy. Otherwise, I'll just go crazy kind of thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, and you've been staying pretty busy and productive and on top of stuff, so that is always a good thing, man. Um,
Mm.
Let me see. I was also gonna like bring up the fact that you actually do your own podcast and how is that going for you?
Yeah, so I can't even remember how long I've been doing it for, but it's been like about a year and a half, I would say. And yeah, it's just been it's based on it's called the Voiceovers Audio Adventure, and it's on all streaming platforms. And it's focusing mainly on the voiceover industry in the UK primarily, and then it also touches upon the audio industry as well. It's not exclusive to the UK, but that's where I'm starting because obviously that's where I'm based. But in the future, I do want to take it, globally and talk to other people around the world and see what they're doing in their countries and that kind of thing. But like the UK market has taken to it well. It's slowly building, slowly meeting people all the time that, have used it to help their own careers. And I really just made it in the first place because um when I was getting started, I was looking for resources, free resources. Um, and that's there are resources out there, of course, because there's voiceover's been around for ages. But in terms of literally giving you the basic foundations of what you need to make money in voiceover, I couldn't find that. So I said to myself, I want to make a podcast, but what's it going to be about? Oh, let me make it about voiceover, my journey kind of thing, and what I would have wanted to learn. So I could make money quicker, maybe even. And that's basically why I made it.
Okay. Yeah. Um, it seems that your podcast is also a really good resource of, learning more about the voiceover industry in the UK. So at least for anybody that wants to check it out, please, feel free to check out, the website and the podcast, which I'll link, in the description, by the time this goes up. But yeah, anyway, getting to do juggle all these different, hats, like I was saying before. So how do you manage the time when it comes to doing this, clocking in as much time doing this every day and then focusing on the next? Like, how do you manage to, um, manage your time doing all this different stuff in the industry?
Believe it or not, voiceover isn't as time consuming as people may believe. I my voiceover anyway. I know some people that every day they're working on maybe 4 or 5 projects every day, or they're working on an audio book every day, or audio books take time, obviously. But I've been blessed, I've been lucky enough to work on less projects, but for more reward, if that makes sense. So I haven't had to work as much, and I think that's just because of the niche that I fall into, and that's mainly commercial work. So the commercials, like on TV and radio, they're going to be literally 30 minutes to an hour session, and these are normally booked in advance. So I can literally just do 2 jobs and I'm good. Um, but some people, work on multiple projects where it takes more of their time. So I have a lot of downtime, which allows me to work on my other projects. And there are times when I do get longer projects, but they're few and far between. So yeah, I'm just enough to, be in a niche I'm in and allow myself to focus on other elements that I enjoy.
Yep, right on, man. Yeah, and getting to work with all of these companies, like I mentioned, there's BBC, Nike, so it's like, and PlayStation, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting to know all of these companies and that's kind of like the next question that I have. It's how do you cultivate like, relationships and maintaining good, business and you know, a friendship, with these people. I mean,
Mm.
friendship, wow. Okay, let me rephrase that. Like maintaining, relationships with, your
Yeah.
clients and marketing yourself. Like, I think that's the big thing that is,
Um,
on a lot of people's minds. So, you want to share your tips and, you know,
yeah.
just
I think with relationships, um, you know, I I think it's just you either have it or you don't. because you can pretend to be active online and reach out to people and try to cultivate things, but after time you'll lose speed and you'll lose steam because it's not natural to you. You're putting it on, you're pretending. um I've always been that person where I will message you, I'll send you a message and I'll be like, hey, I love your work, I love what you do, let's keep in contact, let's work together in the future maybe. And I'll always check in on people. And this goes this goes beyond even like work. This goes into my personal life as well. I'm always checking in on people and making sure they're okay. And I feel with that, people see the genuine side of you and they see that you are a human being and you do have, your fundamentals in place. And I think with that, it shows you're trustworthy as well. So I think, that side of the relationship building, that's what hands to that. But on the other side, with the marketing and letting people know that I'm actually out there in the first place, I think again that just, I believe in, anytime you do something, whether it's you literally, I woke up today and I spoke on the mic for 5 minutes, you need to post everything you do. If you don't make yourself seen, nobody's gonna contact you and want to work with you anyway. So it's a combination of the two. You need to make yourself available, you need to make yourself seen, you need to make sure that all of your assets, your branding assets are how should I say, they're they're the same. They're continuous, the continuity is there with that. And also you need to keep on at people to a degree where you're not overdoing it, but you need to always check in. And I think it's just a circle as a freelancer you've just got to do anyway. If you want to be successful in any field, in creative field, I think you just need to keep at that.
You totally. Um, and what are the pros and cons of having a social media presence? Well, your 2 cents on it anyway.
The pros and cons, well, the pros are, it's free promotion, it's a way to get money, it's a way to gain work, and it's a way to gain relationships. But the negative side of it is it can consume you. um you know we all fall victim to scrolling all the time on our phones. It's just the way that we're wired now. But I think as a freelancer, voiceover, whatever you do, when you work for yourself, I feel sometimes I'm always checking my phone to see if there's work. I'm always checking my phone to see what kind of promotion or marketing I can do, because that pays my bills. And I feel sometimes I find it difficult to put the phone or stay off my computer. And I think that's the negative side of it. It's allowed me to do what I love to do, but at the same time, sometimes you need a break and it's hard to break.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, this is why I'm like, one of my accountability, like, I meet up with an accountability group every Thursday, and one of my goals is logging off social media at an earlier time,
Yeah,
because it can be pretty, it can be overwhelming, and it can, like you said, it can consume you, and it's
yeah.
really toxic. Um, without a doubt. So that's why, it's good to set boundaries and it's good to set like a concise scheduling, which is what I
Yeah.
started doing, like actually keeping track and accountable for my own stuff, which is something that I wish I did when I first started.
Yeah,
Yeah. But, we're all learning.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Um, so what have been some of your favorite, like when it comes to voiceover work, what are some of your favorite work that you like doing?
Um, Let me see. It changes. It changes. It definitely does. I feel I do like to, I know this sounds really, self-centered, but I like when people come to me for
I mean,
me.
nothing wrong with.
I like when people come to me and want me to sound like me, not like someone else. I love doing that. When there's something about when somebody comes to you with a script and it normally happens more in the corporate world. And they want you to say something to represent their company, but they want you to change the way you speak. And sometimes I'm just like, excuse me, like you came to me because you wanted my voice, but you want me to change the way I'm speaking. Like that doesn't make sense to me. But when I get jobs where I get to be myself, I do love those. I like animation. I just worked on a Warhammer animation um with them, Hammer and Bolter, I believe it's called. I worked on a little short with them. That was cool. Um so yeah, it really depends. As long as the script, whatever it is engaging and somebody's actually taking time out to write it. I think that's the main thing because when you get a bad script, there's nothing worse than that. You have to pretend that you're enjoying it and then you don't give it your all because you're not even sure if they're going to use it, and then it's just a mess. So yeah, I think it's just basically the script, and it always helps when you work with a nice team as well.
Yeah. And I also know that you wrote an ebook covering on how to get started in the industry called,
Yeah,
How to Get Started in a Voiceover Complete for Complete Beginners. Like,
yeah.
right on the money. So,
Yeah.
yeah, was it kind of like, did you get like people asking you like, oh, how do I do this? How do I do it? So it's like, you know what? I'm just gonna write a book about it, and there
Do
you
you know?
go.
Do you know what's funny? I did have a few asking me, but that was more for that was before the podcast. So that was just for something that I wanted to do myself because again, I knew it would be a good resource for people. Um, but I set myself goals. I'm always like, I want to do this, so I'm going to do it. And that was just one of them. If I could, I probably would have published it in a shop, but obviously I'm very impatient. And I'm like, I ain't got time to be chasing people down. So I'm just gonna release it as an ebook. It's just gonna exist and people can check it out if they want. So yeah, I literally um wrote step by step of what I did actually to get started. Because my when I got in, I kind of the there was a steep ascend where I was very lucky, but I became full time very quickly, which I thought was normal at the time until I met more of my peers who had been doing it for longer. And they were like really impressed with what I was doing. So I was like, okay, what did I do? So I thought, let me write it down um, and just try to, again, just be creative with it, and that's the main thing because that's what I like to do. And if I'm not doing it, it's like there's only so many scripts you could read. Sometimes you need to write your own scripts, and that's where I'm at.
Yeah. So for the UK VO industry, how does it differ from the US VO
I'm not
market?
well, I'm not an expert on it yet, hence why in the future I do want to do more American content. But for now, from what I know, knowledge wise, I know that in the US you do a lot more union stuff. So a lot more jobs go through the union. I know your audio book industry is bigger in the US. And obviously you guys, when it comes to animation and Disney and all that, you guys obviously run it. So that's as far as my knowledge goes, is very surface level. But yeah, again, here in the UK, um, how should I say? We do a lot of stuff ourselves. We don't necessarily get work from the union. It's not really a thing. The union is just there if we need them. It's more geared towards actors and like screen actors and theater actors and stuff like that. But yeah, there are differences, but that's something I do want to learn in time. I just need to figure out how I'm going to learn that. But I do have an agent in the States. I haven't done much with them, but I do have representation out there.
Nice. And how was that whole process like?
Um it's very it's the same process in terms of I just get email, audition, send it, see what happens. But like I said, a lot of the auditions, they will always state on the top of it, um, you have to be part of is it SAG or SAG? I'm not sure what the pronunciation is.
SAG. Yeah.
SAG, that's it, yeah. Um, so a lot of the work comes through them and it has to go through them or else you can't apply. So, and also as well, I know that you guys use different um programs. You use Source Connect a lot more than we do in the UK. So little differences like that that I've noticed working with different clients. But for the most part, it's relatable. You know, it's not a different language or anything like that. So it's more or less the same. It's just little bits here and there change.
Yeah. That's pretty much accurate. The pretty because like I've used Source Connect, I've used like Adobe Audition, Audacity, and a couple of other programs in my time. But yeah, it's definitely a learning curve. I'll say this. Definitely with this new
Definitely,
technology, like learning how to be your own engineer and a bunch of this other
100%.
stuff that you got to do. It's like, yeah, there's a lot that goes into it than just having a good voice. Really
Yeah,
does.
you know what? That's the funny thing. It's the voice is like it helps. I think it gets you noticed, but the voice is literally such a small percentage of what you do. Like you need to learn how to act, you need to how to show emotion, you need to know the business side, and like you said, the editing. I could go on for ages. Like, you know, it's the voice is
Please do go
so
on.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, you get where I'm going with that. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. Um, but yeah, and it's like there's so much that I could go on about that, but I think I'm probably gonna save this for another, episode or so.
Yeah.
I guess maybe. I don't know. Who are some of the you can list some of the influences or people, clients, or anybody that you've worked with, or it could be people in your personal life that you cite as an inspiration for really helping you get this far in your
Hmm.
career.
Um,
You want to
do you
give a
know
shout
what?
out.
Yeah, well, there was a few when I first started, you know, Alexia Kombu helped me out a lot. Um, who was Chris Tester helped me out a lot in the beginning. Um, and to be honest, just the whole voiceover community in the UK. I can only speak for the UK, but it's just so welcoming and so like, you know, like I've been in industry like the music industry before, and you know, and even acting, like I've heard about, it's just so competitive and people, it's like a crabs in a barrel mentality, and it's just like in VO, it was just so refreshing to just send the person a message on Instagram or wherever, or email them, be like, can I have 5 minutes of your time? Like, I've just had this email come through. What does it mean? And you know, that's crazy. Like, and people help me for free, and I think that's part of the reason why as well. I think it just you get rewired a little bit once you're in VO. It's like you've been helped, so you want to help people coming up, and that's kind of what I'm doing now with the podcast and the ebook and just everything I'm doing. It's like if you want my help, I will give it to you. Obviously, I'm not going to give you everything, but I'm going to give you as much as I can, because people have done that for me. And as well, it just helps with networking. And, you know, if there's a job that I think somebody will be a good fit for, I'll put them forward and they'll do the same for me. So it's like, it's not a competition because at the end of the day, we don't even see the clients' faces. We literally, it's just a voice. So I think that kind of removes the personal attachment to a role. It's just literally about a voice. So if your voice fits, it fits. If it doesn't, it doesn't, and that's it.
Yeah, that's pretty good advice there. Thank you for
Mm.
that. Um, so yeah, I know that with you being a musician and all, have you done, let me see, I know you do that. Excuse me. My
Yeah,
brother also does music and,
yeah.
with you being a musician and all, like, with music and stuff, like I've listened to a lot of music, but I'm not really familiar with like what goes on behind the scene. I know always a
Yeah.
lot like, with VO, it's like, you got your audio and the I know a lot of stuff that you can do behind the scenes for VO, but for being a musician, I'm pretty sure it's kind of like I know there's different techniques but it's kind of like um yeah, basically being your own engineer and yeah, like with VO and music, I think there's like some differences, but a lot of similarities. If okay, am I getting this like if I'm wrong on this, please correct me, but yeah,
Well, do you know what?
like what
Every
is something that you really enjoy about being a musician?
um, there are similarities and there are differences, obviously, like you said, and everybody is different. I think one thing that when I was I do more VO now, but music is something that I'm doing more. I'm trying to do more because I enjoy it more. But I would say music, you rely on more people. Um, Music is definitely a group effort. You need engineers, you need a label. You can release your own music, obviously, but it helps if you have a label. Me myself, I'm in a group with a DJ. Um, if you want to do a show, you need to set that up. So there's so much moving parts when it comes to the music world. Whereas voiceover, you are everything. Like I'll get on the mic, I'll record, I'll tidy it up a little bit, not do too much, and I'll just send it off and I won't see it again. And that's it. You kind of like I'm done. So I think with the music stuff, I definitely relied on people. Well, I do rely on people because I do still do it. And the voiceover stuff is kind of like it's all on me. And if I don't do what I need to do, I'm not going to be successful, basically. So that's what I've learned from the two.
Yeah. So anything new that you've picked up, like new jobs or I don't know, anything in your personal life that you've been that you've started diving into over the last few years, or at least this year rather?
This year, I think more production. I think this year I've definitely said to myself, since I started the podcast, I want to work on other people's podcasts. I want to work on, writing scripts. I want to work on creating more audio for people. So I think production in 2023, I definitely want to do more of that. And I have been doing that this year, which I'm happy about. But yeah, I think by the end of the year, I want to be self-sufficient more in production. I think right now I'm still at the learning stages, but no, I'm the type of person that when I get fixated and obsessed about things and I have no patience. So when I have something in my head, I need to do it as quickly as possible. It's some people may say that's really bad, some people may say it's good, but I just need it done.
Yeah. Have you thought about being a director at some point?
um it's the thing is, yes, I would love to be, but again, I'm not gonna fool myself or pretend it's gonna happen overnight. I know that that's something in the future, but I know what I need to do to get there, and that's why I'm, putting myself in the positions I'm putting myself in now.
Yeah. What would you say are some of the biggest like struggles, like the challenges that you've personally endured when it comes to working as a full-time um creative based in the UK in the UK?
Okay. Um, I think the struggles is it's not to sound like, oh my gosh, cry for me, but it can be very isolated because most VOs work from home alone. Um, you're not going in to studios most of the time. You're only really going to studios for bigger jobs, but for the 90% of my work is in my house, in my studio. Um, and like I said before earlier in the chat, I'm working maybe a week, 3 hours, like all together, like on VO. Um, so for the rest of that, I'm just by myself here. So as a creative, to keep the juices flowing, you kind of need to find outlets to keep yourself, motivated and creative. Like, so you need to go for walks, you need to find hobbies and go to the gym and read books and stuff like that. So, but it's easier said than done, obviously, because being at home sometimes, your bed is just upstairs. So sometimes just chill for a bit and then like the motivation goes down. So I would say the motivation side of it can be challenging at times.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, at what point in your life or in your career that you're doing all of this, right?
Mm.
So at one point in your life did you realize, wow, this is why I love doing this for a living? At one point did that
I
click
think,
with you?
what I think it happened some probably at the beginning of 2021 when I was at the point where I was like, okay, so I can make money from talking on a microphone, because I always thought that I was going to make money off of music, but it actually turned out that I just needed to talk on a microphone. That was it. It sounded so simple, and it was like, why wasn't I doing this a long time ago? And then I was like, I can pay bills. So like, and that just made me feel like, like, oh, people want me, or people value what I do. And I was like, that just feels really, nice. It's a nice feeling, because we've all been in jobs before where you're just working, and we all need to work at the end of the day. We all need to pay bills, but we do jobs because we feel we have to, not because we want to. And for the first time, for a long time, I was doing something that I liked doing and I wanted to do, and it wasn't stress. It brought me happiness. Like, after, just to do a job, somebody saying, "Oh, thank you, Joe. Like, thank you. That I'm so happy for what you did. It was a great job. Can't wait to work with you again." Just little things like that. They mean so much. Like, to me, anyway.
Yeah. Since we are kind of almost near the end, you can definitely feel free to share, promote your socials, your upcoming projects, anything that you could talk about at the moment. And
Yeah.
yeah, just to keep in touch with you and definitely to keep up to date with
Yeah.
everything that you got going
Of
on
course.
your side. Yeah.
Well, first and foremost, you can check out my podcast. It's a voiceovers audio adventure. And you can get it on all streaming platforms. And the easiest way to, just check up on me, see what I'm up to, and all my not Insta, all my socials are on there as well. Just go on my website, which is Joe Troy, JOTROY.com, and everything's on there. My podcast, social media, my work, bio, you name it, it's all on there. But yeah, hope you check it out. And yeah, thank you for having me, sir.
Anytime. Any last piece of advice that you want to close us out on?
Um, you know what? Just don't procrastinate.
Yeah.
Just don't procrastinate. I'm gonna take a leaf out of Nike's book. Just do it.
Yeah. I think those are the perfect last words to, cap this off on. Yeah, and yeah, I don't really have an outro for this one, but thank you for watching, and this should be going up at some point in during the weekend, depending on how my schedule is, because it's always really unpredictable. Help me, um, time management. So regardless, thank you so much. Stay tuned for next time, and yeah, thank you so much for stopping by, and yeah, everybody have a good Memorial Day weekend. So, yeah, until then, adios, sayonara.